everyone. We are live. Yes, we're live. Yay! Happy Thursday. I am live for the first time in a while in this group, so I haven't been live for, I would say, about 2 weeks, potentially a little bit longer, and there's a really good reason for it. And I wanted to share some tips and advice that I've learned over these past 2 weeks because they might actually help somebody else as well. So I have been grieving the loss of my dog. So that's been really hard. So Bella, who's so beloved to me, went to heaven on August 10th, and it's been hard. It's been hard. So I haven't been live. I've had a lot of things going on with the business and with Fueled and, with clients and with business development, all kinds of areas of my life. And so the one thing, though, that really has happened that has been pretty intense has been Bella going to heaven. So that's been in the past 2 weeks. And so I wanted to share because I actually know that a lot of people, when I spoke privately to people about it, they're actually going through similar things. And so if this is you now and you're dealing with a broken heart for the loss of somebody or a special animal or a pet in your life, then I wanted to share some tips and advice for you. It just as relates to nutrition and keeping you healthy during a time when it's really hard to do much. So it can be a really, really, really tough time. It depends, of course, how close you are to somebody or how close you are to the pet or whatever it is. But, some days it's just overwhelming. And so a broken heart is one of the hardest things to feel. And I definitely think that grieving is one of the hardest things that we deal with as humans. And now, because this was a pet of mine and she, I had the expectation, of course, that they don't live to be, 120. I don't know why turtles get such a long lifespan and dogs don't. But it's been quite a journey for me. This is always something that's hard for me. It's my second time with a very beloved dog going to heaven. And so I had some, reflection on the first time that I had experienced this. And so this is my second time going around. And so having reflected on the first time, I did have a lot more insight into how to approach this and how to handle this. And with this case, I actually had time in advance. So not time in advance, sorry, I had noticed, like I knew that she was terminally ill with cancer and that it was going to be something coming up. It really caught me there. So, still going through it, right? But I wanted to share this because, like I said, I know that other people are going through this too. So it might even be the anniversary of someone that you've lost or just a recent thing that happened. And you might be thinking, how do I even take care of myself? Or you have this happen to a friend, whether they've lost a pet or a loved one, like a human, or whatever it is, right? A beloved aunt or, a child, God forbid, right? So how can you support also somebody going through something like this? So here we are. For someone who's going through this process, it's one of those things where, sorry, I hope you can hear me. I tend to get quiet sometimes during this time. So it can feel really hard with such a major loss in your life to even take care of yourself, right? And that actually is like a really horrible trick that the body does when you need more than ever to take care of yourself, right? So it's really one of these things. Oh, thanks, Hannah. Hi. So, trying to do this. So, it feels like you don't want to wake up in the morning, or you wake up and you feel sad and you don't even want to eat, or, so
you don't want to eat, or you don't have an appetite, or you don't want to do anything, you don't want to move. So it can be super duper duper hard. So my biggest recommendation during this time, even though it's been like 2 weeks now, right? So doing a lot better. But what I would recommend, first of all, is to keep your nutrition on point as much as possible. So even though you may not feel like eating, it's time to get those greens in, and you can just focus on essentials. You don't have to focus on, anything not important, just the essentials. So breakfast and lunch are the most two important, and then even you can just sip, hot tea and things and soup in the evening. But one of the things to remember is you're going to feel weaker if you don't get good nutrition in your body. So a lot of times when you just don't feel like it, you do need to actually support your body more. So what's important is greens, omega-3s, vegetables, and healthy proteins, okay? That's so important. And even though you don't feel like eating it, a great way to do it is just a smoothie in the morning and make it as yummy as you can, and try to eat at least half a portion that you would normally eat, or a whole portion that you would normally eat, right? So just, even if you're mechanically going through the motions, then make it, because your body requires this. If you get low in iron, or low in B vitamins, or low in vitamin C, or low in any of these minerals and vitamins, maybe you'll be fine for 1 or 2 days, but day 3, day 4, the end of a week, or 2 weeks later, you're going to be so tired, you're going to be extremely depleted of nutrients, you're going to even have a harder time to get yourself back to your normal self if you don't have the nutrition in your body. And I kept reminding myself of this, like, got to eat, right? Like, I've got to make this smoothie, I've got to make something for lunch, and and just batch make something. And I'll just tell you how ridiculous I was. I had a big bag of frozen veggies, like frozen veggies that you just heat up. Oh, thank you so much, Hannah. Yeah, she really was. She was incredible. And she's only 11 too, so I had in my head we're going to 16, and so it was a lot shorter than I thought. And so something that I had to do was I actually took the frozen veggies that I had, and I made a soup. I just put them all into water and I boiled it up really well, and I just drank this frozen vegetable soup with vegetables in it because I had organic veggies. And I was just I know. So there's a comment. It is so hard to grieve, and even harder to eat healthy at these times. It's so true. For me, it was one of these cases where I felt like not eating, I couldn't it, because she loved food so much, and I would always eat around her, and she would always look up and sit and beg for food with her eyes and her cute little pout, and just oh, please send me something. And so every time I'd go to eat, I'd remember that she would. Oh, thanks so much. That she would love food, and so it made me so sad. I had a really hard time eating. So I just almost forced it, because I knew I'm going to be so depleted if I don't have any nutrition in my body. So I boiled vegetables, and I recommend that. Just have vegetables that you boil, frozen organic veggies, and just drink it as soup. Make a smoothie and try to get in protein. So I had nut butter on toast. That counts as food. So if that's going to be something that you do for lunch or for breakfast, so again, keeping at least 2 big meals is so important. All right, you guys. So it's hard, and if you are the friend of someone who's grieving, then if you could make them something healthy, just so that it's in the fridge and already done, because sometimes the process of making it is overwhelming during these times, even for me. So, and that's not something that overwhelms me on a regular basis at all, but it's just oh my gosh, now I've got to cook for myself and make something to eat. So I did a batch of this boiled vegetable soup. It wasn't delicious, but it had nutrition in it, and I knew, I'm if my vitamin C goes down, I'm going to catch a cold, or I'm going to get, I'm going to be immune compromised if I go outside in the world or whatever, So I just need to make sure I'm getting my vitamin C, and I'm getting my potassium and my iron and magnesium. And so you don't have to remember any of those, scientific terms for nutrients, but you just need to know that a smoothie is great in the morning and a soup is great midday. And soups are easy enough. You can put organic chicken into a pot, put some water, and put some vegetables, carrots, celery, and onion, and you are good to go. You can make a big pot and just eat that for a week, right? So you just want to Oh, that is so sweet. So just someone just commented, so Hannah just commented, my friends and family made and brought me food when I was grieving my dad's loss. It was so helpful and made me feel so loved. It's so true. So if you do know somebody who's grieving and they're in your like geographical area, then if you can make them something, just take a little bit of time and make them something, you know, ideally something healthy that they're going to actually get the nutrition to their body, because literally if they start to feel fatigued out, then it's going to be so hard for them to it's going to be even harder, right? So it's so beautiful and such an act of love if you can help someone, even a neighbor, even if you don't know them that well. You know, I'm so blessed. One of my neighbors is just so loving and caring around here. And I don't even know her very well, but she's a dog mom too, and so she really felt it. And she lost her pup. She lost her doggie in March, and so we kind of had a, you know, yeah. And so that's part of the nutrition would be to make sure you're getting greens, make sure you're getting omega-3s. Those are your flaxseed oil, your hemp seed oil, your fish oil. Nobody wants to eat sardines when they're grieving. Trust me, even though I love sardines, it's not a thing. So try to get in flaxseed oil and put it in your smoothie. Or take avocados and add that to your smoothie and make it really nice and creamy and yummy. And as much as you can, right? So even though you can't, sometimes I would have to even just like count it out or look how much I had left and just keep eating, right? And I'd like cry into my food and like snot would be everywhere. And I was like, okay, still have to finish this. Snot wouldn't be in the food, just FYI. And so greens, omega-3s, bananas, beans are easier than meat because they're always ready to go. You just heat them up on a frying pan. So if you have beans and you want to go into like a vegan protein like that, like a nice vegetable plant protein, you don't have to eat meat if it's just going to take too long for you to prepare, or you don't feel like making like a big roast or a soup. So beans and greens and greens in your smoothies, right? Or greens in your soup. If you don't even feel like, if you want to do one big pot of soup and put your kale in there and your spinach in there and your meat in there and put your beans in there and just make some carrots and stuff, that's a great idea. Or if you're going to make it for somebody who is grieving, and trust me, even the loss of a pet can be the most devastating. Like, you're used to this unconditional love every time you come home and they're not there anymore, right? So it's an incredible loss. And so it's nice if you can help somebody and make a big pot of soup or make a big, I don't know, smoothies are hard to gift, but I've done it before. You can put it into a mason jar and close it up and then, you know, offer some nuts on the side that they can top it with in time. Or chia seeds, right? So boiled vegetables, you know, some citrus fruit. So if you have any citrus fruit that somebody could add to, you know, eating some oranges or eating some grapefruits or putting that into your smoothie, it boosts your vitamin C up, right? And your strawberries boost vitamin C. Summertime now is great. My parents had a whole bunch of apples growing in their backyard, so they brought me apples. Or actually, I was there at their house, and they gave me apples, and my mom cooked like a ton of food, and so that was really special. And like a stir fry with a whole bunch of vegetables. The idea is to get in as many greens and as many nutrients as possible, because you might just feel like eating nothing, or you might just feel like eating ice cream and cake and sweets and sugary things, and it might feel hard to be healthy for yourself, okay? So you have to make it like a mentally strong priority to be healthy for yourself during this time of grieving, because you're already emotionally vulnerable. To make your body physically vulnerable would be like double trouble, okay? Like double trouble. And whoever you've lost, or whatever you've lost, if it's a pet, is probably looking from heaven being like, oh my gosh, like, please eat healthy for me, right? Like, just don't do this to yourself, right? So they would want you to be physically strong as much as possible, right? And so that's where the nutrition comes in. And I know that like nobody talks about this, but you either don't want to eat when you're grieving, or you don't want to prepare any food when you're grieving, or you want to eat only ice cream and junk, right? So I've moved into the ice cream phase. And so my friends did take me out to this really healthy ice cream place in another city, just like kind of 45 minutes away, like 1 hour in traffic. And it's really natural out there, and there was natural ice cream, and it was so great. And we went together, and it was nice. It was like my friends from grade 5, and they, you know, we three of us went out, and this ice cream was amazing. It was from New Zealand, and they put like real fruit in it, and it came out this, they put this frozen fruit, like berries, any kind of berry you wanted. I actually had 2 of them. I was like, well, there's a lot of berries in it, so I'm gonna have 2 ice creams. And it was very healthy, like local dairy or a local vegan, like coconut stuff. So I'm not too good with dairy, so I had the coconut one with strawberries and raspberry. I had like 2 ice creams, so it was, but so I'm in that phase now, so I have to again remember, be healthy for myself. It's not just ice cream, right? So that greens, omega-3s, again, you can get those, and also walnuts. So even if you bring like, some kind of nice nuts that to somebody, it sounds so silly, but especially if you include walnuts and almonds, and maybe you can sprinkle a bit of like some kind of seasoning that you bought at the store too on top of it, right? And just gift some nuts and some fruit, a fruit and nut basket or something like that, that, because you might want to just snack on something, so you're getting those omega-3s. So that's the food piece. Making sure you're getting healthy oils, because those healthy fats, they elevate your mood, okay? So a lot of mood stuff can be really helped with nutrition. So they elevate the mood to have your omega-3 and to have your greens and to have your vegetables and to have your like beans and your healthy proteins and stuff like that. So healthy oils are going to be incredibly important. Don't forget to eat your oils. If you don't have flaxseed oil, have some coconut oil poured over things. Eat olive oil. Your oils are so important for your mental health, to make sure that you're doing well. Okay, so no like low fat or high sugar stuff, especially low on the sugar, would be great if you can. And just lots of like berries and bananas and whatever you can swallow, that's healthy. So just remember that you can't also be physically vulnerable when you're already emotionally vulnerable, okay? So the next thing is sleep and rest. So you may feel like sleeping forever, which usually was me, and like just sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. So I took time off, actually. I have help. Like I have an assistant who helps me keep my business going with the social media. I'm so grateful for her. Her name is Pamela. Shout out to her. She's grieving her dad's loss of her dad at the first year anniversary, which is also incredibly hard. So she kept the business going, and I'm so grateful while I needed to sleep and cry and all that kind of stuff. So sleep might be a really great idea to make sure you're rested. This is super traumatic. It might be something you need to do, and just take that rest, I didn't feel like going anywhere, which is surprising for me because I love nature and walks and swimming in the ocean and all that kind of stuff. And my friends were like, you got to get back into your life. And I said, I know, but maybe not in the first 3 days or 4 days, right? So make sure to get that sleep and rest. And another thing, and this is like a health thing, is to let it out. So sometimes you want to like bottle up, because whatever aches and pains you feel inside is going to sound so wacky when it comes out of your voice box, but I actually, in the car ride home after Bella went to heaven, I was like screaming on the highway. I just had to just let it go and just scream and just let go the screams. And I let go screams and I let go aches and I let go all these sounds. I had to, when I got home, and for the first 3 days, I would just like cry and ugly cry and like cry with snot and, 100 Kleenexes, and you go to the toilet paper and then you're at the paper towel, right? And my friend Katrina was like, do you need anything? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need Kleenexes. So, you just let it out though, because from what I know from the first time around is I didn't let it out. I just continued to go to work and try to be like this model person going through this like thing that I bottled up, and it was unhealthy as can be, okay, because it didn't resolve for years. So I let it out. And I talked to her in heaven, and I screamed and I cried, and my eyes were like puffy, and and I didn't leave the house for a little bit, as I needed to just like release the pain and the ache and the grief and the sadness and the loss. Let it go. Like, just let it go wherever you are. If you live with people, you need to go to the bathroom to have closed doors and just put some music on and just release any kind of sound and ache that needs to come out. Because if you bottle that in, it will stay unresolved for years. That's what I learned the first time around. I didn't do it this time around. I took the time. I let it go. So just remember to let it go. It's part of the process, okay, of healing and of even of loving, and that's really a big part too. So just let it go. Another thing I found so helpful is that when I never used this before, I had cinnamon essential oil, and cinnamon essential oil is incredible for making you feel loved. Like, because you feel during grief a absence from you. It's like a missing chunk of like this being, and whatever. I mean, maybe you don't, because not everyone has the same beliefs, but I truly believe she went to heaven. So I know she's in a good place. And, and I just have these really strong belief systems, but still, even with everything I know in the first little while, it's this absence, this missing empty part of every single day of my life for the past 5-6 years. Because I shared her, and she had a first mama first, right, who's also grieving now. So there's like so many of us actually grieving Bella's, loss from earth. I know she's in heaven now. And so, cinnamon essential oil is so wonderful. I never used it before. I'm like a peppermint and like a grapefruit and like happy, like I really like these peppy, happy scents, and I'm so into it. And but cinnamon, I poured it in my bath. Oh, be careful, because it actually sticks, like somehow it just sticks to the bottom of the tub. So now I have to get some kind of like great big strong cleaner to remove these sticky parts. I don't know why, but the essential oil doesn't diffuse as well. So now I shake it in a container. I poured like, even every day I would pour the bath. It didn't have a diffuser at the time, so I would put it in the bath in like a hot water, like small amount of hot water. And it would just like, the aroma would just drift around like slowly. And cinnamon essential oil is so healing for your heart. I had no idea. I come into the house and it smells of cinnamon. I think it's because it's Christmassy. That something about it makes you feel like gingerbread cookies and Christmas and warmth. And so it just like wrapped this beautiful feeling around my heart, like a big warm, beautiful hug or blanket whenever I come home, right? Or when I am home. And so it just, even now, it smells so nice of cinnamon. And I highly, highly recommend it. So cinnamon essential oil for grieving. If you want to diffuse it, if you want to pour it in a bath, whatever you want to do, definitely use that. And this could also be if you're going through like a heartache, like through a breakup. Now, usually in a breakup, you're sad, but also the person's still alive, and maybe you hate them. So it might not even be so depressing, but some really are, and divorce is really hard. So, I would say that cinnamon essential oil is for all of these cases. I would say anytime your heart needs a hug, try cinnamon essential oil. Go for organic, because you're going to be like inhaling it, and it might even be on your skin, but cinnamon, you guys, seriously, cinnamon. And then I do like crystal healing, so I did the most like grounding ones and healing for the heart. So those would be like, for the heart, it's like green crystals, or and by crystals I mean like, let me just grab some, like these things. So I believe that they help, right? And I had a ton of them around Bella, and she actually exceeded every veterinarian and every surgeon's. Oh, okay. Bye, Hannah. I'll catch it later. Thank you. So I did some crystal healing with Bella, and so she exceeded every veterinarian's life expectation for when she got the very aggressive tumors. And so I did something right, and to be honest, my method was make every day great and don't treat her like a sick child. So I was just like, every day is great, we're going to just live it up. So we lived every day so great, and I don't think she even knew she had anything wrong with her, except for that it was like physically painful for her and stuff like literally I was like, no, we're doing this and we're going here and we're going to do this, and all this great food and all this kind of stuff. And so crystals too, I had a whole bunch for her. So if you're healing a broken heart, you want to go for green. And if you're feeling like something is missing in your life, you want to go for like a tiger's eye, and that's for your root chakra, because that's where we feel like something's missing. Anyway, so that's that. So cinnamon, crystals, omega-3s, greens, bananas, beans, soups, boiled vegetables, citrus, nuts, sleep and rest. Some content to consume, this is the very last bit of it, is some content to consume, is that you have to remember that your brain is going to try to bring you down right now. So it's one of those things where like I said, your brain's going to go to the hardest of it all. Like your brain's going to go to the memories that like it's just going to make it suck. So, it's going to take a while before I can my goal and what I aspire to is to celebrate her life, like to really celebrate Bella and her beautiful life and everything that she was to everybody, her legendary smile and her love of adventure and her love of food and her love and her energy and her special beautiful spirit that just was a big part of this animal. And so I want to celebrate that. I'm not there yet because I'm still in the sad part of grieving, but I'm moving out of it. And so I'm not moving out of it, I'm moving through it, I would say, you know, and so I'm even able to talk about this now, which wouldn't have been possible for the past 2 weeks. So I just know this can help somebody. And so, you know, if it does, I'll be feeling like this was a blessing, and that I'm really glad that I could help with this. So I totally forgot what I was going to say. Oh, your brain's going to take you to the hardest part. And so it's really good at this point to fill it with content that is like a warm hug. Okay, so I have a favorite childhood book. When I was a little girl, I really loved Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, Anne of the Island. So it's a Canadian children's literature, and by Lucy Maud Montgomery. And even though I couldn't like read the books that I have from my childhood because my eyes were constantly teary-eyed, it was like really hard to see through, I found a audiobook versions like on YouTube for free. I have Audible, but I always check on free just if there's anything first on YouTube before I actually pick it on Audible. And so I found it on YouTube, and I just listened to all of Anne of Green Gables. Now I'm going through Anne of Avonlea. These are like, you know, hours long. And it was beautiful, filling up my mind and my heart with a warm childhood story that brings me back to a very safe place, was like a lifesaver. And also sermons. So I really like Joel Osteen. If you're not Christian, it might not mean anything to you at all, but if you have an interest or you want to hear just how positive he can be, Joel Osteen is an incredible pastor out of Texas, and he's got a funny accent, it's cute, but he's got a lot of positive messages about everything and anything that can help guide your heart. So his messages were like a light onto my path, and really helped a lot. So I would highly recommend those because they're positive, they're uplifting, they're honest, they will reach you if you're open to it, and they're really relatable and really about real life with actual like human examples and stuff like that. It's not just like Bible scriptures one after another. It's really good examples about how to overcome things and how to come out, you know, with a really positive outlook on stuff, right? So that's what I'd recommend. Content that you consume during this time is really important because you could really start to heal yourself faster than you would have otherwise if you consume like not just healthy food, but consume healthy content. And that content for me this time around was the Anne of Green Gables series, right? My childhood favorite stories, the sermons that I listened to, and actually YouTube like shorts and things with Sofia Vergara from Modern Family. So she's like a ridiculously funny Colombian actress, and just I needed to laugh sometimes too, which sounds funny, but it's helpful. And so I would just watch short clips of her being ridiculous on like the Ellen Show or different things like that, and so that was helpful as well. And that's okay if you actually laugh a bit too. It's okay to have something that's funny. It's okay to find things beautiful again, which is one of the most astounding things for me. Is like, wow, it's just as beautiful outside as it was before, you know. But it's how could it possibly be? But the world is beautiful out there, and it is such a nice thing to have loved so much, right? And so, yeah, those are just the tips that I have so far. And I think one of the biggest ones, too, that I didn't mention, sorry, this is getting super long. I apologize for the length. But one day at a time, one step at a time. The first day that I left my apartment was probably 3 days in to grieving, and I wanted to go to church because it's such a great home and community for me, and I feel very safe and well cared for there. So, and Bella didn't go there with me before, even though I like really racked my brain to see how can I get my dog to church, because she came everywhere with me. Like Bella would come almost pretty much everywhere with me except for church on Sundays. And so I did actually, that was kind of a good thing at the end, because I did feel like it wasn't something that I would have memories of her all over the place, you know. It was just I always went on my own, and that was how it was, and I don't have to look around and like grieve also memories of her in that location, whereas we went like everywhere else together. And so now it's like been hard to like go back to Stanley Park and go back to like our normal walks and where we used to go, all these places that I love. It's just like it's infused with memories of her, and that's so beautiful and so great. But at first it hurts so much because it opens up your broken heart, and it just your heart cries all over again, right? So you just kind of want to like ease into that, I would say, one day at a time. If it feels too scary, then don't do it, right? So if you can go to somewhere, then, you know, one step at a time. I put my sunglasses on and I was like, here I go. And I counted my steps. I was like, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Just so I wouldn't like look around and start getting a little bit sad about this place or that place that she loved, because she's like, we were big outdoor people. So every street in this place I've been through with Bella, everywhere I left the home with except for church was with this dog. And, you know, and we had this bond that was like so special and so connected. And I'm so grateful for it, right? But it's really hard at the loss of the beginning. And so then I'm going to soon, like, I aspire to be the girl who's like, and that's where she did this, and that's where she did this, and this is the funny time she did that. And like, you know, and like really incorporating her memory in a beautiful sense in all these places, because she's part of all of it with me, right? And in Bermuda too, I can trust me, that's where Teresa is at too, just looking at all these places and everywhere she sees Bella, you know, and that's just how amazing of a dog this was. And she was a rescue as well, right? So it just was like, she surprised both of us in our lives. It wasn't like we planned to get a dog. She was just a blessing, and, you know, God was like, the universe was like, hey, you guys need this dog. She is going to bless you beyond anything, and so that's how it was. For sure. And so, anyways, you might want to at some points, like, you go outside and like everyone's walking around like it's a normal day and it's sunny outside and you can't even imagine that everything is so normal. It's an incredible feeling. And you're just like, nothing is normal anymore for me, right? Like, it's just, everything is so weird and different and sad and unusual. And like, how can it be sunny and people are walking around and smiling and making jokes, right? Like, how can this be? So you might want to take it slow and count your footsteps. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Slow as you need to go, okay? And just do it that way. Slow as you need to go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't judge yourself. Don't worry yourself over, you know, no negative self-talk about it. Count it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You know, it's so traumatic, and it's such a big, huge thing to happen when you lose someone or an animal that is so dear to you, that it's okay to be at that space where you are counting your steps to get somewhere, and you be proud of the fact that you even did it. So yeah. I got to church, I cried, and then I went on with my church service, and it was really beautiful and really special, and everyone around me was just surrounding me with so much care, with so much kindness, with so much love. One person brought me a bracelet the next week, you know, total stranger, and just so much kindness. And, you know, it's important to be authentic, because like I said, before, my first time going around this journey with lost my first dog, that was a totally different situation too, where I had no plan. Like, she died at 4 or 4.5, and there was no advance notice. It wasn't like she's terminally ill, okay? She had a health condition and it took her down, but it was sudden and she was super young. It was so hard. I wasn't even in the province, okay, when it happened. And so that was just super hard. But I also found it hard to be authentic and to like take time off. So for me now, what I'm realizing is how much lighter I felt after, like, I'm telling you, I let out screams in the car. You just let those feelings out, okay? Don't worry if people are going to judge you, or they're going to say, oh my God, she's so depressed, or oh my goodness, she's so depressed. Like, sorry, we shouldn't say oh my God. Oh my goodness, she's so depressed, or she's, oh my gosh, are you okay, right? Like, it's okay to be there and to feel it and authentically allow for all of that, like, mixture of emotion to be present in you and to release it. And what I found was it took like 3 or 4 days, 3 days really of that. And then the 4th day, I was like lighter. I felt lighter. I really did. And, you know, and I was able to eat a little bit more than I was the first 3 days and stuff like that. So, yeah, authenticity is important. And don't feel like you need to put on some kind of a mask. I just couldn't even be live with you guys because I thought I'm going to be putting on a mask and I don't want to be that person. I'm not that person. Who you see here is authentically who I am in every video. Like, I am that happy, bouncy, energized Agatha, you know, that really is authentically me. It's not like some mask that I put on for you guys in this group because it's my professional face. It's actually who I am. And that's why I'm also doing this, is because this is like where I am now. And I have a lot to celebrate. The company launched a new website. I worked really hard on this website. And there's so much going on. And there's this really big, great times for me too. But I'm also holding space for myself and allowing this process of healing to occur. And so those are my tips. Just keep your body healthy and keep your nutrition as best as it can be for yourself, or if you know someone who's grieving or who's even just gone through a breakup, you know, and you want to help, maybe make them some healthy food or give them a big hug. You know, that was a big thing too. Maybe they need someone to take them for a walk. I've got friends coming to take me for a walk. Actually, I'm pretty good to walk myself now. But in the beginning, I did reach out and I said, can you come take me for a walk? Because I'm scared to go outside. Just like, it's a little bit too overwhelming right now, seeing all the places and everything, you know. So my friend came, took me for a walk, and we had a lovely talk. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I hope that this really blesses somebody. That was my intention. You know, it took a lot of courage to come and even speak to this. And I want to come back on and be live with you guys again. And so this is my first step back into it. You're going to have your superfoods, smoothies, Saturday session on Saturday coming up. So, you know, I didn't do that for 2 weeks, but it just had to be authentically me, which I always am here. And I wanted to share this too. So again, I hope it was a blessing, and take care. And be blessed, and share this information with anybody who you think it would benefit. And thank you for all the beautiful comments and all of the support and love in the comment section. So I really appreciate that too. So again, I hope this was a blessing, and take care. Have a good Thursday and a good end of summer.